All right, quick request to anyone in chat. If you want to be an awesome boss, Zombie Grub and I did not get a chance to tweet about this series. So if you want to tweet about it and give us some tags so we can retweet you, it would be very, very much appreciated. But for now, we find ourselves in a fresh best of three as we continue in the IEM Katowice Qualifiers. God, I'm always so scared I'm going to say that name wrong. And it's got the team sponsors, the team logos back on. Now we're doing this properly on Game Heart. And of course, big shouts to both of these players for giving us the blessing to host on these maps with the extension mod. But without further ado, spawning the northern spawn location, it's going to be the red Protoss player from Evil Geniuses, Huck.
And in the bottom position as the blue Zerg, it is Hyun from Rocket.
I love that Hyun's using little Carbot stars, by the way. It just suits him. I don't know why, it's so perfect for Hyun, but... Of course, Hyun has kind of been the focal point of a lot of community attention over the past while. We don't need to bring up the negatives, but the positive are the fact that he's still playing StarCraft 2. He didn't have to quit the scene, and he's already found a new... well, I'm not sure really if Rocket's a team or not, because I mean, it's like, what, Damaga's like one of the other players sponsored by Rocket, so I guess it's kind of like a personal sponsorship. If I misquoting that, I do apologize, but it's nice that he's still being supported and he's still in the scene. He's a very powerhouse player. I mean, he recently won DreamHack. It's not like he's kind of fallen to the wayside and becoming rusty. He's still relevant in a big way.
Sorry. I had to do something.
Oh, no, I was gonna keep talking. I didn't know. Here, I'll just keep talking then. Sorry. The other thing for Huck, of course, a special place in my heart. He is Canadian, but of course on Evil Geniuses and been all around the world at this point. America, Korea, you name it, he's been there. And we kind of talked a little bit about it before the game started. But realistically, guys, Huck and Hyun there's not a lot of StarCraft. Like a lot of StarCraft 2 players have retired, given up, gone casual. Huck trying to bait an overreaction out of Hyun right now, kind of cute to see. But I mean, these are two players who have been around for almost the longest time, and they're still at the top of the gameplay. It's not like no offense to White Rod, I love White Rod a bit, but he's not exactly going to be the next WCS champion anytime soon. Whereas both of these guys still trying very hard every single day. You hear about training, and you follow them on Twitter, you know that they're practicing their hearts out, and they still want to be StarCraft 2 champions.
Yeah. Definitely true. That fake out was kind of cute because the Overlord was already over the natural and obviously saw no forge, but there are always players who do the tricky in-base forge just to make them feel confident and not reacting. I think Huck would actually be one of those to definitely do it, so I'm surprised that Hyun didn't at least bring, one or two more drones down to make sure.
Yeah, a little bit risky, but it could also be the fact that Huck is a player who I feel like he's most masterful in the late game. I don't see Huck, it used to be that Huck would be like that guy who all-ins all the time, but I think a lot of that was reputation gained from ladder more so than tournaments. And doing something like a dedicated cannon rush this early is not exactly something I see in his wheelhouse. Now that being said, that would almost be the perfect excuse to do it because Hyun wouldn't have expected it.
I feel like he's actually a really good player when it comes to mixing things up. Like, he did have that, he was known for doing like all-ins or doing something cheesy or all that, but that's just, because he does mix it in. Well, but it's not the only thing he does. He actually does have that good macro that you're talking about, and it's a really powerful late game.
I don't want to speak for Huck, I obviously can't, and I'm not a personal friend of his by any means, so I have no insight to it, but from observational standpoints, I feel like a lot of his all-ins on ladder were done because he didn't want to reveal his tournament builds. So when you're practicing on ladder and you come across some, average North American Grandmaster, the last thing you want to do is play your heart out and give away all your strategies, so why not just all in? And if it doesn't work, you don't really care.
I think the notoriety came from the GSL run that didn't go so well for him.
That as well, yeah. I'm talking more recent days, but that as well, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And that's like a really long-standing, now false accusation to make of him, because he's only like a gateway all-in player, which he's not. But anyways, enough about what was.
4 gateways
what is going on.
Coming down. This pylon is going to get taken out, sadly. Does cancel. Okay, I was a little bit worried he might not. 3 gateways are kind of what you see versus third bases. Like, you wanted to be able to warp in a total of 7 zealots and go with it, but unfortunately Hyun is making so many lings, and while he doesn't have roaches that you would typically expect, Huck doesn't necessarily have the forces at home to defend against a crazy ling all-in. He doesn't have sentries for infinite force, so there's no cannon behind this, and the mothership core is across the map. So he's gonna he has to trade out this third base, because quite frankly he may lose the natural if he's not careful.
He's gonna probably trade out the third base, recall home, and defend.
Oh, no recall more available. Use the time warp on the queen to
okay.
secure the kills for the zealots. Mothership core getting really low, and these zealots are not quite going to kill the queens the way I think you wanted it to. This mothership core needs to back on up. Oh my god, with 8 health. A very risky move, but he holds the natural base too while this is going on. It was worth noting he did warp in some extra sentries for those force fields that were oh so necessary. And third base still stands. There's a couple zealots here, but they're not being brought into the base to attack. Not just yet, at least.
I think he wants to try and surprise Hyun to get the guaranteed kill. Because if he goes out right now, Hyun pulls back and maybe saves it. But now, definitely not. It's finished. He goes in. That's going to go down. Even if the Lynx come back, they cannot DPS down the Zealots fast enough.
Unless the Zealots go for the Queen.
Or that. All right. Okay.
You know, you only need 2 Zealots to kill a Queen, but you need all these to box them in, sadly. Huck perhaps regretting that choice. More Zealots warping into the mineral line.
Yeah.
He doesn't have that +1 upgrade, so I don't know they can really take a fight in the open like this. Gonna try to, because obviously he has no other choice, but I don't know. He should still be able to get the hatchery, I would imagine, here, with more warp-ins coming. 26 Lings are on the way, but if he just fires this down, it will certainly fall.
He's playing, you know, I feel like even if he doesn't, maybe all these Lings that he's killing is worth it anyways, and I think, yeah, he still will, and I think he would realize that he would, as long as, Hyun didn't actually have a Roach Warren. He was like, I'm going to get this hatchery. And unfortunately, Hyun waited way too long to get a Roach Warren, feeling maybe a little too overconfident.
I feel the sentries coming across the map must have been a bit of a mistake. I don't know that was intentional. He's still going to get a couple more link kills with this, though. And the Mothership Core may have gone down, but Huck has ceased warping in. And at this point, you know, it's...
That shouldn't have...
The
sentries and the last warping, both should not have come down.
Well, it's not going to cost him the game by any means, of course, but still... That's kind of his lead almost thrown away. Not in the sense of like the bases, but in terms of just army value. Because of course Huck is, well, nothing at home. A couple sentries warping in, but that's about it. Holding off against Lynx not out of the question, but Hyun is, you know, this is, it's odd to see him so late to the Roach party. As like, I feel Roaches are kind of like his go-to.
That's a good point. You know, for someone who, if I was to think of someone who always goes for Lings, I think of like Jaedong. You know, when I think of Hyun, it's definitely Roaches. Roaches and Lings usually, yeah, but Roaches. And it's unfortunate that I feel like Huck giving away those units was actually really helpful, but if he hadn't, that would have been really bad. You know, 4 gates attacks are just very powerful against Ling only styles, especially without upgrades, which Hyun didn't get.
Zombie got by another bracket update. Bly just 2-0'd Deer.
Whoa, nice.
Bly is a really skilled player. There's no question about that, and anyone who says he's otherwise is quite frankly a fool in my books. But a 2-1 maybe is something I could see, but a 2-0, that is very impressive out of Acer Bly. So small props to him. A bit of recognition there as he continues in the brackets, but we'll see how far he goes. We got Hyun and Huck, of course, being these scrutinized people we're casting at the moment. +1 range weapons are on the way for Hyun. Roach Hydra, kind of the more go-to, but also, of course, let's not forget Swarm Hosts are always a possibility. Although I don't know, like, when HOTS first started, Hyun was always experimenting with them, because, like, a lot of you guys may not know this, like, one of the very first weeks of HOTS in the Zotac Cup, Hyun came against Snoot, and they were just both talking about how much they hated Mutalisks. And Hyun was always trying to find ways around them, but so he had a lot of Swarm Host experimentation at the early Heart of the Swarm, but I haven't seen him do a lot of it in recent days.
Just only getting Roaches for now. This actually doesn't look like too abnormal of a game, like supply-wise, just a little later than what it should be. Huck does get 5 gateways. It looks like he's maybe going for an all-in. He has those Immortals. Actually, yeah, okay, no, he does have 2 Immortals. No Warp Prism. Might build that after the Observer. You want to make sure that you have the Observer in case they actually have Burrow. Just a little embarrassing when you don't. And, that messes up your 2-base all-in.
I'm surprised this Mothership Core has been given so much free reign, by the way. With no Hydralisk and, of course, no Queens willing to chase off of Creep, Huck's Mothership Core has just been, like, out on the map all game. Like a dog off a leash.
Yeah, he's actually doing a really good job of cleaning up the towers. Of course,
he might need to recall.
I would love it if he recalled the exact amount to defend, but that is so hard to do. So
there's way too much coming in for sentries to hold this. I mean, Huck's gonna try and put some SimCity down behind this, but will that be enough is gonna be the big question. It's Roaches at his front door. It's not just Lings. I think he'll try and knock down the base in the recall. He's got the power for it with the Immortals. So as long as he clumps up his units and doesn't under or overreact. Wait for that recall. Okay, will recall. Misses one of the Immortals. That's actually gonna suck. That's a lot of damage missing from this.
He does save everything at home. I mean, he lost the gateways at the front, but that's okay.
Oh, this Immortal and Sentry. Oh, the
okay, with
loveliest
Immortal
Immortal
Sentry.
Sentry. Rest in peace, little guys.
That's really unfortunate. Having to recall, I mean, you just don't ever want to stop that push when you do it, you know?
Yeah.
He's immediately going to come back out. Unfortunately, other counterattacks definitely could be in order, and that'd be pretty bad. Hyun also investing into Burrow, hoping maybe the Observer isn't with the army. And you know, is it? It is.
It is.
So,
It has been.
it won't be too useful. But it's surprising that Hyun is doing so well off the fact that he's only had 3 bases for like very minimal amounts of time. But oh wow, this is really great position
The
for
force fields are
Hyun.
not good. Yeah, like he threw them down. The recall's a nice attempt, but honestly, those force fields didn't lock out any of the roaches. Now in full force, Hyun, he doubles the army supply of Hawk and then some. The roaches are gonna get right on top of these immortals. Oh god, this is hard to watch, Zombie.
Yeah, I've never quite seen a 2-base Immortal in pushed back so hard, but it was.
Good game.
It had a lot to do with that early game. You know, that early game, whether or not it goes like incredibly in your favor or not, really does push off a game plan. You know, in general. I imagine where the game plan for that first Zealot attack was like warp in 8 Zealots. Oh god, I hate the CSL site.